introduce yourself, sir, and your role within the Investment Readiness Programme.
Absolutely. So my name's McManus. I am one of the access to finance specialists. What that means in a nutshell is I help early stage businesses, mainly startups, prepare themselves to go and get investment via equity, debt or grants.
So what's it like when a new business approaches you? Because there's all different kinds of businesses, different kinds of mindsets, and it's quite a nerve-wracking thing, isn't it, for many people as well? It was for me. What's it like dealing with that level of business?
Absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, for early stage businesses, then there's an element of support out there that they need to tap into. For those guys, like it's super tricky, right? You feel like you're on this mission, you're on this journey, it's alone, it can be a lonely journey. And we often never pause, take a step back to look at what support is out there. We just go into this tunnel vision mode, we keep executing, and sometimes actually stepping back is the best thing you can do to take a bigger step forwards.
So if somebody's watching right now and they don't know an awful lot about the Investment Readiness Programme, entrepreneur, new business, what support is out there across the West Midlands and beyond?
Well, look, there's lots. Like there's plenty of grant pots out there at the moment. You can get the support from the team that's going to help you, guide you to get the grant. But for the team like us, ultimately approach us when you have an idea and you want to work out how to commercialize it, and if getting finance is the right thing for you, because ultimately everybody's journey looks a little bit different. So there isn't one clean cut pathway you can take. Just approach us and then we'll often craft that pathway and make it the right one for you and your context.
So what's it like for you, Connor, dealing with businesses? And I mentioned this a little bit earlier on as well, helping to help them develop as individuals, their businesses. It really is helping somebody's life as well, isn't it? What's it like for you to be in that role?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. Like, it's really good, right? So I had my own business. We ran it for several years. It was rough. And so it's great helping people not experience the same challenges that I did. But I also come from the health and fitness industry. So I spent so many years coaching people. So like for me, this is great. I'm doing something that I used to do when I was younger, but now the content and the topic has changed a little bit, but I'm still helping people from A to B, which ultimately is the most selfish thing you can do because it makes me feel great.
Oh, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Makes you feel good, you pass that on. Now let's talk about the business support that's available across the West Midlands as well. What would you say to somebody who's looking to engage with us?
We'll do it. Don't hesitate. I think there's never too early. Once you're engaged with us, we can keep that relationship going and identify, actually, you should come back to us in a few months' time, or once you've done this thing, or let's do this thing, have a break and then come back to us. So like reality of there's never too early. Just come to us whenever you know about us and you've got an idea to run with.
Sage advice, sir. So finally, before we let you carry on, and because you're working very hard today, what piece of entrepreneurial advice would you offer to a new business or entrepreneur from the experience that you've gained over the years? Because you work with businesses and you've got your own business as well. What piece of advice would you offer?
There's loads, right? I think I could answer this question all day. One thing I will say is validate. I think there's always the question of, like, how much time do I spend on this? But there's also the question of what is the right time to stop spending time on this, because there's the opportunity cost of spending time on the wrong thing. Like one thing I always say at the end of my presentations is, you may not be successful this time, but if you keep beating this drum, you'll always be successful eventually. And what you want to do is optimize that time. So one thing that I did in my business is I wrote down many different lists of answers to questions. And one of the questions was, what needs to be true for me to no longer work on this? And I think that's really important to do. And the solution to that is you validate ideas before you start throwing money, time, and lots of effort and energy at it. Because if it's not the right thing, that's fine. You can go and focus on the next thing, which might be the right thing.
Well, that's a great piece of advice, isn't it? Because I've spoken to someone who joined me when I was engaging with the advice that was on offer and the support that was on offer as well, and they've tweaked their business as well. And that's important to do that, isn't it? Exactly. Completely had a look at it again.
Amazing. Yeah, pivoting is often a thing that is true in all successful businesses. If you haven't pivoted, you're the exception, not the rule, and it's something to think about.
Connor, great advice. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.